Hello and welcome back to the Fireside Stream. I am your host, Raymond McNeil, and joining me, as always, is the immortal Mollie Rhyme Master. Mollie, how are you doing today?
Sleepy.
I can feel you too. There's a little bit of a weird time slot for me. Typically, because typically I go to D&D, like, in the evening. So, like, there's gonna be, like, wedged between me waking up and me going to D&D. If we're going to make this more regular. So I'm just going to have to adapt.
4 p.m.
What?
It's 4 p.m.
I woke up at 2. Doesn't make it much better, but I mean, I wake up at 2. I'm nocturnal. I am owl man. I should have made Kelfie an owl. That actually might have worked, but I didn't want to steal Shammy's speed. How is everyone doing in the chat? I see we've already got a few active people in there. People are asking about, oh, I wonder if any of this will be addressed in the show. It won't. It won't. I mean, man, Raymond did actually start stream before the other stream I was watching actually started their main topic. Are you talking about, is EFAP streaming? Is that what's happening? Is that what you're talking about? You're talking about EFAP? Because they take like an hour to get to their main topic.
Is that stream where each stream is like 7 to 12 hours long?
Yeah. Yeah, EFAP is ridiculous. The hosts are like, it's really good. Like, it's typically like a very solid. Like, you're not. There are occasionally spurts of like 5 minutes where nothing. There's kind of a little bit of downtime, but like that's very rare. There's usually a very consistent conversation going on. If it's not funny, it's very insightful. If it's not insightful, it's somewhat amusing to some degree. I love that stream so much. I just got to get caught up on it.
Why did my camera go out of focus because I put on a jacket? That's not very nice. I don't look that bad.
Because now you look Russian and it needed to match the quality. I mean, you actually don't look that bad on my Streamlabs.
At least I just like one little bit of hair that won't go down.
Also, thank you, Richard Thang, for subscribing. Today's a bit bittersweet. Drove my sister to the airport to go to Japan for the next year. Oh man, that's both cool and like sad. Like I hope she has a safe trip.
Yeah, bittersweet, like you said. Also, I want to address Paul's ad. What's your favorite Petra ship? It's with Caspar. I have only weird ships for my favorite characters.
Raymond is Smith Black, Raymond the Owl, and Mollie the Frog.
I'm not the frog. My girlfriend's the frog.
What would you be? What did we? Didn't we all land on something here? I thought you landed on something there.
Raccoon, probably.
Raccoon.
What's up with your audio? I didn't have it set to my $100 microphone, which is not a good use of $100.
Oh my God! People like. I mean, keep subscribing, but stop subscribing. How do I turn that off? Now the super chat. For the record, that's how many subscriptions have come in. Is now we're getting the super chat. Okay, did the subscription stop? Okay, good. But yeah, no, she's going to have a great time in Japan. Japan is superb. I wish I could go back at some point soon. Can't. Stayed up last night to finish the Ratfic. Yes, Bad Fanfiction Night concluded our read of Through My Eyes. Honestly, if you get the chance, please look up this fanfic and read it if you want to torture yourself. But it's also, like, it is enjoyably insane. When you think that it's done, it will keep on going.
I just go to the John tag on AO3 and read whatever's there.
You see, that's like basic stuff. This isn't, oh, I got kidnapped by Ratigan from the Great Mouse Detective through time and space. And he's sort of, like, flirting with me, and he wants to be my lover, but I don't because it's wrong, because my Christian family brought me up right. It hits so many bizarre things. Like, if you want to talk about showing your hand, Mollie, this is the epitome of the example of the writer trying so desperately like to fulfill a fantasy and being unable to. It's hard to describe. But to give you a little bit of backstory to this writer before we get to the actual main event, her parents are very, very Christian. I don't know what denomination. I don't think it's Catholic.
Probably Southern Baptist or Evangelical.
Probably something like that. And they read everything she writes. So it's very clear as the story is going on that she wants to bang the rat. She really wants it. She really wants it. But she can't. And so she always has to, like, peel it back from that kind of relationship to the point where, like, oh yes, no, we're more like siblings than anything else. It gets really weird and uncomfortable, and it's hilarious. It is like, I know, Moopa, but like, I don't think the 27 people in here that haven't already read it are going to go check this out. It is. I'm just telling you, it's one of those insane fics. It's TV. I think it has a TV tropes. It is the peak. It is peak bad fan fiction. Oh, that's right. She also drew a comic version of it. Is my thing doing that again? All right, so I have to shift you over a little bit. Hopefully that all looks correct. Where is this? No, I need this. Okay. So if I do this, and then if I do this. All right, good. All right, so I've been having this weird problem where when I stream things, through OBS, if I have a window over another, it sometimes freezes it. Oh yeah, the unfortunate Electra complex we uncovered regarding the author. Yeah, we basically... That fic is just a doorway into this girl's mind. It is so bizarre. Yes, rats in chat. Okay. So anyway, let's do what we're actually here for, and read RWBY, Roman Holiday, Chapter 4. We actually got through 3 chapters last week. Or last time we read this. It's been a little more than I think. Peak bag fanfiction is a high bar to pass. Not a great one, but it's high. Yep. But yes, we are now on Chapter 4, Steel. Is that another stupid get-rich-quick scheme heist plan number 17? Heist plan number 17. Brat number 1, otherwise known as... Oh, okay. This is Melanie. You want to take the female parts?
Oh, what voice do I feel like I'm just going to use the same voice for every female character in this. Because they're all, like, obnoxious and rich brats.
Well, no, this is like... we've heard their voices. Milsha... What are these?
Yeah, no, I was gonna do that.
Okay.
Is that another stupid get-rich-quick scheme? Heist plan number 17.
Brat number 1, otherwise known as Melanie Malachite, peered over Roman's shoulder at the notebook he was writing in. I'm impressed. Roman snapped his notebook shut.
Because?
I didn't think you knew how to read.
You're mixing me up with Miltia again.
I think it's just Milcha. I think they pronounce it Milcha.
I always read it as militia.
She said in a bored voice. She always sounded bored, but this time she had a reason to be after spending more than a week in lockdown. This is Melanie.
I can read. I just choose not to.
Her twin sister, Brat number 2, a.k.a. Milcha, went back to watching a Fauna soap opera. Are Fauna soap operas like Spanish soap operas? I have to ask. He was glad for the reminder of which was which. Okay, sorry. This writing is a little weird. I rarely deal with twins. He was glad for the reminder of which was which, because it was really hard to tell them apart, especially when they wore the same outfit. Purple halter tops, black cutoff shorts, and mid-calf boots. They say that the reward for doing a good job is to become your job permanently. 4 years after he had joined the Spiders, Roman was now Little Miss Malachite's right-hand man, only partially because he was one of the few gang members to survive in one piece. So he was the only one she trusted to protect her daughters during one of the worst wars among the crime organizations that Mistral had ever seen. Roman's reward for being the best was holding up in a safe house with 2 snotty, apathetic, spoiled teenage girls. He should be out there tracking down members of rival organizations, but instead he was forced to be a glorified babysitter. I assume.
I assume it. Hold on. What voice did we give Melanie?
They're both the same. They sound exactly the same.
Oh, right. Hold on. You can tell I'm, like, a little out of it right now. Definitely not driving myself anywhere tonight. I'm not, like, drunk or anything. Just out of it. But anyway.
Welcome to the stream where I read this book and Molly passes out on camera.
I assume plans 1 through 16 failed.
Melanie sat down across from him at the table. It had finally happened. She was willing to talk to him because she had nothing better to do. They haven't failed. Roman flipped through the pages of his notebook. I'm still planning them.
So, they haven't failed yet.
Melanie said. You are your mother's daughter, Roman replied. He didn't know who their father was, but he envied him for being smart enough to get as far away from this wacky family as he could. Then again, he was probably dead. So he was only slightly worse off than Roman.
What's a heist anyway?
Milsha asked. Melanie glanced up to the ceiling in exasperation.
It's a big robbery, like a bank or a train.
Roman turned to the page where he had sketched out a heist plan number 9. The Mistral Trading Company uses the old Zephyr line to transport Liane from the banks around the kingdom to Fort Charon. He turned the page. I have a plan to break into that too.
So why haven't you done it yet?
Melanie asked. A plan needs people, and as amazing as I am, there's but one of me, Roman said.
Well, Miss has plenty of people working for her,
Milsha said. He had never heard the girls call their mother anything but Little Miss. Roman closed
Is that like how Grimes' kid only calls her by her first name?
Maybe. Then again, Grimes and Elon Musk named their child frickin' serial number. Put nothing in that family. Did you hear they broke up, apparently?
Yes. This tweet my friend sent me about that.
With the meme? The meme there.
No, divorce lawyer. Okay, let's go over this one more time. The amethysts, Grimes, twirling, are mine. Their vibration strengthens me for the coming night. Lawyer, sure. Okay, who do the emeralds belong to? Elon Musk, Googling atheism gifts. Neither of us are technically speaking.
The one that I saw was that, like, because for a time they both had matching anime profile pictures, and so someone photoshopped in 002 and Hero, I think his name was, from Darling and the Franxx, crying now that they're broken up. I thought that was fucking great. Their child's name is Child Abuse. Oh, God. And here we see on screen Molly becoming the Shadow. Kudos to whoever gets that reference. Roman closed his book and tucked it into his coat. I wouldn't trust any of those goons to pull off one of these jobs. Wow, that is comfy.
I'm comfy.
You are going to pass out.
You are one of those goons.
Melanie said. I know why you don't like working with a partner. Oh,
That's me.
Yeah.
I know why you don't like working with a partner, Roman.
Milcha said. Oh yeah? Enlighten me.
You don't like sharing. You want all the profit for yourself.
Roman sniffed. Sharing profit means sharing the risk. Working with a partner doubles the chance of failure for half the incentive.
You just need the right partner.
Melanie and Milcha said. As creepy as it was when they finished each other's sentences, it was more disturbing when they said the same thing at the same time. Maybe I just don't believe anyone is going to watch out for me as much as I will, he said. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone about my plans. Until they're ready, he said. He didn't know why he told them all that. It was dangerous underestimating the brats. They might only be 13, but they were still Malachites, and Malachites knew how to turn information, even the most innocuous, to their advantage. Melanie smiled.
Don't worry, little miss wouldn't be interested in any of your heists anyway.
Roman narrowed his eyes. Why not?
Stealing money? That's what a goon does. If you want to be a boss, you need to think bigger. Where does money come from?
The bank. Roman rolled his eyes.
The banks move the money. But what makes the money? What does every kingdom need? Even I know that one.
Milcha said.
Dust.
Dust. Maybe the Rugrats had a point. Dust powered everything everywhere, from planes to trains to automobiles. The cross-continental...
That's my favorite childhood book. It's planes. Well, wasn't that a thing? It was like planes.
That's a
trains,
movie.
and something.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. That's where... So, how about them bears comes from.
Oh.
That is literally the only thing I know about that film.
Also, I forgot to point it out, but I really like the line where it goes, he said twice in the same paragraph for the same character.
Meyers, why?
The job of editing is dead.
Yeah, because they obviously didn't hire one.
Isn't this a published book? Don't they have to go through editors?
I mean, I don't know, it's Scholastic.
I know, it's a major publishing company. Don't they have any QC?
Wait until Raymond starts losing his hair, bald phoenix. I don't know if I'm, like, my hair, like, my dad went bald, but typically baldness skips a generation in my family. So I probably won't go bald. I might thin, though. I'm gonna get white hair. I'm actually kind of excited for that. The cross-continental transmit system, the central communication network for all of Renmond, relied on the power it generated, and so did the scrolls that used the CCT. Even weapons use dust as fuel. Its different form. Even weapons use dust as fuel. Its different forms: fire, ice, electricity, gravity, and many variations of combinations thereof, having different destructive effects. And if you had a semblance, many people use dust to enhance their special abilities in some interesting and devastating ways. The biggest name in Dust was the Atlas-based Schnee Dust Company, but they did business in all four kingdoms, from mining and storage to commercial distribution and point of sales, with many other companies vying for the still extremely lucrative scraps. If Roman could get a piece of that action, something yanked Roman's hair, and his head was pulled backwards by his ponytail. "Ow! Don't do that, kid!" he said.
Can I braid this? Please?
I kind of actually want to see that now. I think that's actually kind of a cute moment right there. No! Come on, Roman, let the cute happen. Milcha grabbed his hat. Hey, do not touch the hat! Roman spun around and grabbed to get it back. Milcha tossed it past him like a disc to Melanie. Girls, that is not a toy. Give it back to me, or...
Or what? You'll ground us? We've already been stuck here with you for a week. Ugh.
Melanie tossed the hat back to Milcha, just out of his reach.
Yeah? What are you gonna do? Tell old miss?
Roman sighed. On the bright side, the girls clearly needed to burn off a lot of energy, and playing with his hat was literally keeping them out of his hair. All right, fine. What do I care? He tossed up his hands. At least they weren't messing with his new cane anymore. Now that Roman had money and resources, he had replaced his old wooden cane with a metal one that not only was strong enough to deflect the sharpest blades and hold up under tremendous force, but was also deadly on both ends. It was equipped with a grappling hook in the handle and a concealed flare gun in the tip that fired, what else? Fire dust. Since causing pain and destruction were music to his ears, he had named it Melodic Cudgel. The only thing he had forgotten to include in the weapon of his dreams was the safety lock, which he realized when Melanie had almost blown off her sister's head the other day. He wasn't entirely sure that had been an accident. You see, right here, I'm satisfied with this. Like, it's building parts of him, but it's not like, it's just stuff he bought. He bought the hat, he bought the cane, he got these things. That's it. Good back building. He wasn't entirely sure that it had been he needed to get a big score and strike out on his own, preferably before the twins grew up. Their brats were a handful now, but they'd be really dangerous when they were older. He hoped they get all the clear.
Wait, how old are they supposed to be right now?
13. They're 13. He hoped they'd get the all clear so they could go home before they injured or killed him, or each other. Of course, if anything happened to one of them on his watch, it would still be curtains for him. Roman's scroll buzzed. It was Chameleon, another associate of the Spider organization. She wasn't the brightest crayon in the box, but she was the most colorful on account...
Is this Blendy Pens? Blendy Pens McFuckhands?
What?
That's why I called the Ilya when I was younger.
Blendy Pens McFuckhands?
That's what me and my friends called Ilya.
I don't think so. She wasn't the brightest. I mean, how old is Ilya if this is the case? This is like...
That's the question we got from the Adam short that like ruined Ilya's entire character even more.
She wasn't the brightest crayon in the box, but she was the most colorful. On account of her semblance, allowed her to change the color of her skin. This ability could be useful for spy work, but sometimes it worked against Chameleon and whoever was partnered with her. If my math is right, the twins were 20 plus in the yellow trailer. Yeah, they were 20 somethings. You had the trusted people you worked with and the people who worked with you. So Little Miss had set up a little buddy system for new recruits, pairing them up with members of the organization she already knew were loyal, but not necessarily competent. Word was that getting matched with Chameleon was more of a hazing than training. Roman found out when Little Miss ordered the two of them to follow a councilman in the hopes of finding dirt they could use for blackmail or sensitive information to sell. They had trailed the guy to a meeting with Jack Plum, one of Little Miss's rivals, who tried to have a finger in every pie in Mistral. The plan was for Roman to cause a distraction outside so Chameleon could use her camouflaging ability to sneak into the room and record their conversation. It turned out she wasn't so good under pressure. When she got nervous, her skin shifted colors uncontrollably, which naturally drew the attention of Plum's guards. But not yet. The line hasn't come up yet. Save him. He's still off to the side getting prosecuted right now. By the time Roman made it to Chameleon, the left side of her face was badly cut up. Plum was notoriously vicious and cruel when he got cornered. Roman barely got the two of them out alive. Then he lied to Little Miss about another gang breaking up the meeting, more to save his own standing than Chameleon's neck. Though she had certainly suffered enough already at Plum's hand, and would always carry the scars to prove it. Chameleon read more into Roman's covering for her than she should have. She considered him a friend and plainly wanted more than that. For his part, Roman considered Chameleon a liability. Semblances were overrated, and one that you couldn't control was worse than none at all. Still, she could be useful on occasion and fun to be around on other occasions, so he continued to string her along. He answered the video call.
Wait. Her skin color changing is her semblance?
Yes. This is not Ilya. This is Chameleon. This is an actual character.
I thought that was a code name or something.
Her name is Chameleon, apparently.
That's why.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is a code name. At least I know it's not Ilya because she's trying to bang Roman.
I'm looking this up. I'm I can't do this.
No, be careful with spoilers.
I don't care.
Well, I need you back here to read her part. Hey, Cammy, what's up? He reconsidered. You're a sight for sore eyes. Her skin turned bright red.
He's back. He's back, Roman.
Cammy whispered. Who's back? You'll have to be more specific. A lot of gang members were on the lam when tensions ran hot, hiding out like Roman was. No, he wasn't hiding. The girls were laying low and he was protecting them.
The bird has landed.
Cammy's skin transitioned to green. Did we agree to use passcode or something? I must have missed that memo. Roman rubbed his eyes. On the far end of the room, the twins were pretending to be texting on their scrolls, but they were obviously listening in on his conversation. Maybe speaking in code wasn't such a bad idea.
I'm talking the big bird in the mouse house. What?
Mickey Mouse! Disney!
I'm looking at Ilya's page, and I like trivia. Color naming rule. Ilya is the name of a species of butterfly, Apatuta ilia, or the lesser purple emperor butterfly. Bringing the color purple. You could just choose fucking anything.
The twins, Chameleon. You read this file? Cammy replied, even parts that weren't covered in black ink. Roman, what black ink? I never did any jobs.
I also like the song Smile from Volume 5 alludes to Ilya's past, hiding her faunus identity from people in Atlas. What do you mean alludes? It's not like subtle. We know this about her.
She said that she was hiding her identity from people in Atlas because she looked normal. She didn't look like a faunus.
She said that in the show. What do you mean that the song alludes to it?
No, the mouse
house. It's also
house.
a terrible song.
The way the unscarred side of her mouth turned up, he knew she was having him on. Roman gritted his teeth. Even I'm not bored enough for your riddles. Then he realized what he was saying. Oh, right. Good work. Where is he? She turned the same shade of purple as the Spider Gang's colors.
He's come home to roost.
I hate you, Roman said. She blew him a kiss.
In an hour, I'm going to tell the big boss what I just told you, but I thought you'd appreciate the heads up. Looking forward to seeing you again when all this mess clears up.
Roman tried to tip his hat to her, then remembered he wasn't wearing it. Take care, Cammy. Roman looked at the time on his scroll. He had only 2 hours. Would the girls be okay on their own for a little while? No, Little Miss would murder him when she heard about it. Everything would get back to their mother and his boss sooner rather than later. And if she didn't like how things turned out, he'd be done for. So if he was going to act on this, he had to involve the twins and make sure nothing happened to them and his plan to succeed. And his plan had to succeed. That was a powerful argument to do nothing. But living in a 3-room safe house with a twin terrorist was making him edgy too, and he'd almost do anything to go outside. He pulled out his notebook. You girls want to hear about heist plan number 18? He turned to a fresh page and drew. A moment later, he held up the book to show them. Melanie peered closer at the 2 girls he had sketched in a corner of the page.
Sarah just texted me that in her D&D campaign that she abhors, they just introduced a non-binary 13-year-old character.
Tell her just to walk out of the room.
That's what I did tell her. Chat, what should she do? Also, hi Dean, I notice you're in chat now. I am comfy. Where are we?
Melanie peered closely at the 2 girls he had sketched in a corner of the page.
Where is that? Okay. Are these supposed to be us?
They are indeed. We have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to pull off a major job, a legendary job, but I'm going to need your help. Your help.
I know. I wanted to make a joke. I wanted to say, like, instead of us, it's like U.S., United States. United States?
Milcha asked.
But we're just kids.
Melody jabbed an elbow into her sister's ribs. Roman smiled. That's why it has to be you. Melanie handed Roman his hat.
Non-binary 13-year-old. Does she not know who children are? They already know men and women are the only genders at that age. That's not true. If they've been groomed enough by the internet and made to be afraid of puberty and growing up, they will already have a terrifying fear of being a woman and call themselves non-binary. It's a way to try to escape fate and avoid it and mutilate themselves in order to do so, or something. There's research on this.
YouTube, don't demonetize us.
YouTube do demonetize us.
No! See, Melanie handed Roman his hat. This is your line.
Mm-hmm. We're in.
You don't want to hear the plan first?
I just want to do something.
He put his hat back on. Now he could think better. He gestured for the girls to gather around him while he put his thoughts to paper. 1 minute, I'm going to scroll up and see a little bit of the chat. There's a color...
I love what shit said. Leave, stick around and see what happens. Walk away. Find a ballistic missile, put a frog sticker on it. No clip through the floor. Cast detect evil, roll to stab.
Lamau. Dab. Who's dabbing in chat? Okay, that's more offensive to me, honestly. Roman and Melanie waited outside the Parrot and Mouse. They didn't need to knock, and they didn't wait long. Roman saw the blinds at the front windows twitch and knew they were being watched. The door opened, and Badger, the Parrot Gang's bouncer, stepped out. He had a signature pool cue balanced carelessly on his shoulder. Well, well, well. Hiya, Torchwick. This your new girlfriend? Quick, it's Melanie line.
Yeah, I know, I'm typing some. Ew, as F.
You know who it is, Roman said. Where's the other one? Don't twins usually come in twos? And your pals say you aren't that smart, Torchwick said. What? Badger advanced threateningly, bringing his pool cue around and slapping it with one hand. The other brat is close, but safe. She's my insurance, Roman said. What are you worried about? That you'll kill me and take both of them hostage. How about I kill both of you? Your boss would dislike that almost as much as my boss would. Surely you know that. And if you don't, your backup in there does. You said it yourself. The Malachite girls come as a package deal, and Paul Parrot isn't one to settle for less than a complete set. Badger flexed the pool cue and glared at Torchwick, but he stepped aside and swung his cue towards the door, gesturing for them to enter. I smell a rat, Badger growled. If you try to pull anything, keep it down. Your boss isn't a big fan of rodents, if I recall. He's got it under control, Badger laughed. Melody stomped on the thug's foot as she passed. He bellowed and lunged for her. Roman blocked him with his cane. She's just a kid, big man. Melody stomped on Torchwick's foot next. He clenched his jaw and forced a pained smile. Girls will be girls. She and her sister will be your problem soon. Roman had never seen the inside of Parrot and Mouse before, as it was the headquarters of a rival crime organization. But he had paid a premium for photos of the tavern and a detailed sketch of their floor plans, so he knew what to expect. Except for the basement. Everyone knew, with the exception of Paul Parrot, anyone who went down there never came back up. Which is why Roman was here. He wanted to see what was in that basement, and Melanie was his ticket. A few Parrot Gang members in green and gold suits watched as Badger led Roman and Melanie towards a stairwell leading up. He casually glanced over the room and made note of a door that hadn't been marked on his map. That had to lead downstairs. The room over the tavern held a big dining table, and behind it sat the crime lord Paul Parrot. The man had a deep tan skin, likely because he spent most of his time running small operations on the coastal towns to the north.
Did they just because Japan this shit?
But like towns to the north wouldn't. We've seen Argus. That's not like tropical in any way. Why would he be tan? It's like that's. I mean, I guess San Francisco can. I mean, it does get warm. I think, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's like 65 degrees year round.
Okay, I've only been there during like winter, so I had no reference frame. His greasy black hair was slicked back, and he had the bushy eyebrows and a hawk-like nose. He wore a deep green tuxedo jacket with a yellow bow tie and matching waistcoat embroidered with an iridescent feather pattern. Without acknowledging her presence, he picked up a piece of dry toast from his plate and scraped butter and jam across it. Contemplating the toast in his hand, he spoke. "Roman Torchwick, I should kill you right now. You've been such a pain in my ass, and yet..." He took a bite and chewed thoughtfully. "You come here with a peace offering." Roman stepped forward.
Tan is his semblance.
Yeah. Roman stepped forward. Badger moved to stop him, but Parrot waved him off. He gestured for Roman to approach. "You may not believe me, but I'm a big fan of yours," Roman said. "Big fan of mine? You're right, I don't believe you." Parrot took another bite. Roman hated the crunching sound as he chewed, which is likely why he was doing it. "You work for little Miss Malachite." Crumbs splayed from his mouth, hitting Roman in the chest. Roman brushed them off. "I want to work for you," Roman gestured to Melanie. "As you can see, I'm tendering my resignation." "So you want to work for me? So that's what this is. You think you can buy your way into my gang? The ransom you'll get for her and her sister will be more than enough, and you can demand a truce with Little Miss. You might even be able to take over her organization. Aren't you tired of this war?" "It hasn't been good for business, though it's had its moments. It reminds me of the old days when I was a kid. The gangs could get away with anything. Now we have to be sneakier about it, and pay the law to look the other way. Why should I trust you?" "Of course you shouldn't. I'm a criminal, just like you. But I am not without honor, and I can be a real asset to your organization, the way I've been for Little Miss Malachite." Melanie harumphed. Parrot repeated the sound. "Indeed. The way you've been for Little Miss Malachite. Here you are, delivering her daughters to me. Well, to be honest, they talk too much." It's a Melanie line. It's very simple.
Yeah, I know. Ugh.
"You're trying to play me like a fool." "Play you like a fool?" Roman asked. Parrot threw the crust of his toast at the wall. "Are you making fun of me?" "No," Roman said. "No. Well then, who do you think I am? You want to trade for the Malachite girls? I offer your life in exchange. Now go." "But we already have the other girl, Torchwick. Found her snooping around behind the tavern trying to sneak into the basement." "What did you do to her?" Roman asked. "I let her succeed." Roman froze. "You're bluffing." "You're bluffing. It's obvious that you care about her, which means you're up to something. I know what people say, that there's a treasure in a vault beneath my tavern. Well, that's true, but there's something else too. Young Melanie is discovering my secret right now, and she will not survive."
I want to. Who do you think you are? I am. I just really like that line. Wow. Melissa?
"Militia, who cares?" Parrot calmly picked up another piece of toast. Melanie and Roman locked eyes. They heard a girl scream from far away in the building. Roman took off down the stairs. It wasn't until he reached the landing that he realized Badger hadn't even tried to stop him. In fact, none of the parrots were standing in his way, and that worried him. But Milcha was downstairs and in trouble, and he had to save her and her sister. The door to the basement was locked. Well, he'd been waiting to give Melodic Cudgel a field test. He drew his cane and popped the reticle up. He aimed at the lock. He pulled the trigger. Stop with the he. Sound like a woman in labor. He.
It's so hard to. It's like hard to follow. I'm just,
I mean, I'm finding it like almost too easy to follow. Honestly, there's just like no nuance there. It's just these things are happening.
There's no like art to it. I guess it's just like, again, it's like reading a police report.
It's a cracker. It's a literal dry cracker. It has nutrition to it, but it's just there.
I keep on my baseball notifications just so I can see what names are in the MLB now. I just got a notification. Lars Newt Bar singles in the top of the 7th.
I could go for a Newt bar. That sounds delicious. It sounds like some kind of like protein bar or something like that. Can you just see it like with a little like Newt on the packaging? You could see that.
Aw, Newts. Sarah, if you're watching this, you're Newt, and I love you.
A flare burst from the business end of his cane and destroyed the lock, along with half the door. He kicked the rest of it open and bolted down the stairs. Milcha was standing in a corner of the basement facing off against a large black thing. The bony white spikes and glowing red streaks along its body marked it as a creature of Grimm, the monstrous beast that roamed Remnant, driven only to destroy human and faunus. But he never seen one...
And then...
That said, hey, Fat Man, there goes your theory.
What?
He had there was the running theory, the little one where like, oh, it was only mentioned that it was only Grimm only kill humans. They don't kill faunus. I know that we've known that for a while, but like, just like, oh, it's in print now. But he'd never seen one like this before. It was like a rat or a mouse, only 6 times bigger and uglier. The long black tail whipping back and forth behind it had white barbs on the end, as vicious as its sharp, elongated claws. Someone bumped into Roman from behind. He jumped.
Rat.
This is weirdly well timed. Melanie started to move forward, but he grabbed her. Go upstairs.
Wait, capybara? I just read capybara. It's a capybara.
But capybaras don't have long tails. They have like little nub tails, don't they?
They don't know that. Stupid.
Go upstairs.
The disgrace of capybaras.
He whispered. I'll take care of this. Whatever.
Capybaras in chat, everyone.
Is.
C's for capybara.
The monster's head snapped around to stare at Roman, its eyes blazing. It opened its mouth and hissed, revealing double rows of teeth as long as his fingers.
Blake, your time to be useful.
It's Melanie line.
I know. I'm moving this.
I don't know when you're like looking at chat or looking at the screen. So
that's fair. What's the line?
Revealing double rows of teeth as long as it's the you were saying.
I keep losing my place. I'm sorry. Entertain chat.
Anime, yeah, you're different. You're different than Meyers. There's several different types of things. You might have issues. Meyers has his issues. They don't conflate the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are saying?
It's a capybara Grimm, not capybara, capybara Grimm, because
I think that's the joke. Is it's like carnivore or something?
That's stupid. A screen on the wall turned on to show Paul Parrot's face. Roman noted the cameras positioned all around the room. He bet there were more they were for more than security. Parrot liked to watch his victims die. I never heard of anything like that in Mistral, Roman said. It's imported from the deserts of Menagerie. The Parrot Syndicate has been acquiring capybara for a very long time. This is how you make your enemies disappear. This is how I make my enemies disappear. The door above them closed, and Roman heard something heavy being dragged across the floorboards to block it. You don't just have a deadbolt on that? Okay. You wanted to see my treasure? Here it is, Parrot laughed. Keeping a Grim in captivity is incredibly stupid and incredibly dangerous. Okay, show, which is it? Is it rare? Is it impossible? Is it common? Or is it dangerous? Like, we have seen 2 instances of captive Grim and given 1 instance of being told what it's like. And all 3 contradict each other.
Capybara is how it's said in Spanish.
No, it's good to know.
It might be kind of how it's pronounced. I guess it'd be the other way around, because the capybara would be how it's pronounced in Japanese. Because they use B and
Why
V.
would they choose Japanese for an animal that's found in South America?
Because capybaras are actually surprisingly popular in Japan. I don't know. I seen a lot of Japanese
Rooster
stuff.
Teeth isn't Japanese.
Yeah, but Mistral is Japan land for them, so. Anyway.
They're not weeds.
They're not real weebs. They're fake weebs. That makes them worse, actually.
Are you a real weeb?
Oh, I'm totally a real weeb. Got weeb in my blood. Don't even know what it looks like. It's like blue. You keep Roman squeezed Melanie's hand reassuringly. He needed her and her sister to remain calm.
Oh, Melanie.
Yeah. Roman had fought Grim before. They sometimes got past the city guards and went on a rampage, especially in less protected settlements like Windpath, where he had grown up. But when you faced death every day on the streets, the Grim weren't so fearsome. At least it was a quicker death than freezing or starving. Roman had fought Grim before, but he had never killed one. Please don't repeat, just say he never killed one. You don't need to repeat that he had fought them before. You literally start the same... Editors, please! Usually he held it off long enough for him to run away, but he'd seen plenty of huntsmen and huntresses take down Grim. It didn't look that hard. The first order of business was to get it away from Melanie and Milcha so they could escape. The back door, Roman whispered. Look for your opening. Melanie gave him a withering look.
How did it's literally just right there. How did that... Okay. Well, Miss would be upset if she didn't get to kill you herself. We're trying to help.
Okay, I tried, Roman said. He moved in on the capybara as Melanie and Milcha took up positions on either side of it. The Grim twisted around, turning on each of them. It snapped at Roman and he smacked its snout with his cane. It lunged at him, razor blade claws slashing at his face, but he parried with his weapon and stepped to one side, firing a flare at one of its eyes point blank. Black goo splattered from its ruined eye. It was angry now. It angy.
Angy.
The Grim...
I am not angry. I am just hungry. I'm wrapped. I am the war mask Molly.
Yeah. The Grim leapt for Roman again, but it fell short. Melanie and Milcha were holding on to its tail. It scrapped... Wasn't the tail, barbed? That can't be safe. It scrabbled around, chasing the end of it, and them. They let go, and it cartwheeled to safety. They let go and cartwheeled to safety. Was that in sync? Did they cartwheel in sync? That'd be interesting. It's pathetic, Roman said to the parrot. You're
Me at
pathetic.
this book.
I really did respect you. I thought I wanted to be you. But I see all of this. You didn't earn it. I didn't. You inherited the Parrot Syndicate from your uncle. I did kill him for it. And he inherited it from his father. Roman dodged another blow from the Grim. He shot a flare at it and it backed up into the same corner it had trapped Militia in moments ago. It snapped at him again, but Roman hooked his cane into its upper lip. like a fish on a line, turned and flipped it overhead. The capybara landed on its back and screeched. "You didn't even capture this Grim yourself," Roman said. "How dare you!" Paul Parrot screamed. "How dare you! How dare you!" I think... Oh, it was you.
You're not gonna get away with this one, Spider-Man.
Melanie.
Oh, I thought you were like pausing for something. I think you broke him.
Roman fired a couple of times at the Grim's tail before hitting it, severing its barbed tip. Even without it, it's still plenty deadly. "You need to be more daring," Roman went on. "You aren't like little Miss Malachite. She faced her fears, she earned the syndicate and made it her own. And the people love her for it. That's why we're loyal to her." The Grim hesitated. It looked at Roman, Melanie, and Milcha. Then it turned to look up the stairs. It sniffed. "Why won't it kill you?"
I thought that Grim don't really have intelligent thought like that.
I think it's smelling fear. I think like that's its whole thing. It's not smelling fear on these three. It's smelling fear on him. Roman lowered his cane. "Grim are drawn to emotion. You never controlled it. It killed your enemies because most people you drop in here are going to be afraid. They won't be able to fight back." Roman smiled at Melanie and Milcha. "But as far as I can tell, these girls don't feel anything, and I'm not afraid to die." Melanie and Milcha rolled their eyes in tandem. "Kill him!" Parrot shouted. "Kill him!" The capybara hissed once more at Roman, and then it ran up the stairs. It made short work of the barricade at the door. The men upstairs shouted. Roman heard Badger scream, and then the sound of a pool cue snapping in two. Then it was quiet. "Anger can be a more powerful emotion than fear," Roman said. Grim's coming right for you, Paul." Wait. Grim are attracted to negative emotions, right? That's their thing.
Yeah.
And anger isn't a negative emotion.
I'm going to sleep. Good night, everyone.
I guess I'll read the Melanie Malachite parts.
No.
Graham's coming right for you, Paul. When Roman looked at the screen next, Parrot was gone. He probably had an escape route. Roman would in his place, but he hoped the Grim would at least chase him for a bit and make him sweat.
Did we just let a giant rat mouse Grim loose in the city?
No, capybara Grim, Melanie. That's what huntsmen and huntresses are for. They'll handle it. And if it takes some time to sort them out, that's just gravy. And if it takes some of them out, that's just gravy. He led them to the stairs. "Girls, you were terrific back there. All in a good day's work. Maybe we don't need to tell your mother about this?
Uh-oh.
Milcha said. At the top of the stairs, spider reinforcements were waiting for them. All things considered, an angry little Miss Malachite was the scariest thing Roman had faced all day. She had him sit next to her, bowls of cottage cheese before them. Roman eyed the lumpy white mess as he pushed berries around in it with a spoon.
I don't like how that was written.
Yeah, I don't like how that was written either. "What is this supposed to be?" Roman said. She put her spoon down and finished chewing and dabbed her mouth with a napkin.
It's cottage cheese. Eat up.
"I know what's in the bowl, but I don't know what this is. Is it a reward? Is it a punishment?"
You think I serve my favorite food as punishment?
Well...
What do you think you deserve for that stunt you pulled, Roman?
He glanced down at the bowl. He scrunched up his face. "I think it's a punishment."
Maybe it is. Maybe knowing where you stand with me now is all the punishment you need.
She pushed her bowl away and turned to face him. With relief, he pushed his untouched bowl away too and looked at her.
I trusted you with my girls, and you offered them to one of my rivals.
It was a ruse, and they agreed to it.
They're teenagers.
What were you doing when you were their age? One of her eyebrows lifted. Exactly. Don't underestimate them, he said.
What's this idea that people have that, like, 13, 14-year-old girls just have fucked so much? It's not common.
Well, I mean, like, I don't think that's that. I think this is more like, oh, you were already committing massive amounts of crime. Like, you were already, like, kicking the shit out of people. Like, I kind of get that implication.
Okay.
Never?
Never. However, you did almost get them killed by a Grim, which my crew then had to destroy.
Thereby earning the spider some goodwill in the city. We took away Parrot's most valuable possession, what he used to make people afraid of him. And he was arrested. It all worked out. He paused. Just like I planned. Roman grabbed the spoon from his bowl and started to take a bite. Little Miss knocked it from his hand with her fan. Globs of cottage cheese splattered on Roman's face.
Where did sex come into this? I have only been half paying attention, and I saw offered girls. And tired, okay. I think that should be obvious.
This is her line.
Which one?
And the fact.
And the fact that it somehow all worked out is why you aren't dead, Torchwick.
He glanced at the cottage cheese nervously. Has she put poison in it?
That isn't why I'm upset. I'm upset because you acted on your own instead of coming to me. You seem more interested in your own personal gain.
Little Miss said. I had only your best interests in mind, ma'am. As always, I had to act swiftly to take advantage of the opportunity.
I've already managed your chameleon.
Little Miss said.
The only colors she'll be for a while are black and blue. Though if she hadn't told me where you went, the spiders wouldn't have been there in time to save you.
They didn't save us. They weren't even there.
Oh, they saved you, because if you had tried to keep that massive screw-up a secret, you'd be wishing that Grim had killed you. Consider this your last warning. Don't ever go behind my back again.
Worried I'll see the knife you're hiding there?
When I kill you, Torchwick, you'll know it's coming.
She reached over and wiped the cottage cheese off his cheek with her finger, almost like a caress. Is she flirting? He suddenly wondered. He had never considered that she might like him, but if that was the case, he could use that to... A sharp fingernail grazed the skin dangerously close to his right eye. They're adults!
I'm still putting it up there. And death won't come from a knife.
She turned away from him and picked up her own spoon.
Go on now. Get yourself cleaned up. With all this activity and the parrots out of commission, there's a lull in the war. It's safe to come out of hiding. For now.
Roman stood and was surprised to feel how shaky his legs were. He was probably just tired. It had been a long day. Just to be clear, I wasn't hiding. The girls were hiding. I was just guarding them. She stopped him before he left.
About that, naturally I can't trust you to watch them again.
I understand. He held his big grin in until he was back on the street, because of course, that had been his true goal all along. A very calculated risk to demonstrate that when it came to babysitting, he was the wrong man for the job. The last thing he wanted was to be responsible for some kid. Alright, so we're back at a Neo chapter. We've been at this about an hour. How you feeling? Do you feel up for it? Do you feel too sleepy?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Sure. This stream has already been enough of a train wreck for me. I've already ruined my reputation with most of our fans to begin with. Most people hate me. So, you know, I have nothing to lose at this point.
Well, let's see how long this is. I wonder how many pages. Shit. Okay, so we're chapter 5. This is page 52. We scroll all the way down to the end of this chapter, and we get page 64. 12 pages.
I can do that.
Let's go.
All right, I need to put some power music on.
Copyright free, I hope. Is this Sonic?
Yeah. As Aurelia droned about how Vale's attack on Mistrali settlers had started the Great War, Trivia let out an exaggerated yawn, patting her mouth with her hand. Am I boring you? Her teacher asked. Trivia closed her eyes and dipped her head forward until it touched her school scroll. She startled awake, jolting her hands to her sides and opening her eyes wide. Aurelia laughed, despite herself. History can be somewhat dry, but it's just as important as gymnastics. But gymnastics are more fun, Trivia texted. What good will history ever be to me? It'll come in handy next week when I test you on everything we learned today. Trivia twirled a finger over her head. Pass or fail? Sorry, Ape's commentary. Pass or fail, her parents would always be disappointed in her. There wasn't much motivation for her to do well. None of this mattered, and her performance only reflected on Aurelia's abilities as a teacher. It was her parents' fault for refusing to send Trivia to real school, insisting she could provide for her special needs better at home. Well, yeah. She can't speak. Like yeah, she has special needs.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. My stupid parents hiring me a private tutor to accommodate for my special needs.
This story needs to decide whether or not her parents are good or bad parents. I think they're trying to paint her as bad parents here. Like, oh no, we took her out of school. But like, that's not a bad idea. It's not a terrible idea. Homeschooling's good.
But the real reason was that they wanted to be able to keep an eye on her. Well, considering she can, like, create hellspawn children illusions that have physical force. Yeah. She used to think they were embarrassed about her mismatched eyes and her neatness, and there was that, but she was starting to think there was another reason. They were worried about people finding out what she could do. Again, I love the mismatched eyes thing. It's such a weird thing to be ashamed of. With D indeed. However, your parents are investing quite a bit in your education. Not everyone can afford a combat school professor to tutor their child, and most of those who can would never think to. Trivia raised an eyebrow. She texted a one-word message to her teacher's scroll. Former. Aurelia sighed. That's right. Doesn't matter. Why did you give it up? I told you I miss living in the city. That's all. Why are you bringing this up again? She shook her head. You're trying to distract me so you don't have to finish the day's lessons. Trivia leaned back and smirked. What? What are you getting at? She leaned forward. Wonder Egg flashbacks. Wonder Egg is 13 reasons why for anime fans. I'll say it again. Anyway, Trivia shook her head. She lifted a hand to her lips, thumb and forefinger pressed together, pinky out. Wait. Oh, okay. She tipped her head up and pretended to sip like she had when having imaginary tea parties with Neapolitan and her stuffed animals and action figures. Tea does sound nice. Aurelia put down her scroll. All right. Maybe we'll wake you up. A little break, and then we'll finish up the section with Vacuo's role in the war. Trivia sighed. I'll be right back. Aurelia stood. Trivia jumped up. Did Vale go through a purge of people with heterochromia? I don't know, maybe, considering how she phrases this.
Wait. Or, like, because silver eyes are good, like, does having heterochromia, is it, like, maybe like make you evil or something like that. Like it's the anti-Silver Eyes. It attracts Grimm or something like that.
Oh, in Wonder Egg, the main character is bullied for having heterochromia. And I don't want to hear anything but like, oh, but in Japan, we don't actually know. Neither of us actually know because neither of us are Japanese.
Yeah, true. That's true. But that's what they established in the show. I will defend at least the beginning of Wonder Egg. It's a good show for like the first 8 episodes, and then it just
does it get bad before? In your opinion, does it get bad before or after or during the episode where the little trans boy is like goes through like horrific stuff and then kills himself?
That's more like that's like a one-off story inside the story. Like that's how it's presented. So it's like you would have to rate that story on its own. Look, it's
dodge.
Well, because
Wonder Egg it's just bullying porn.
I disagree.
It is bullying porn.
No, A Silent Voice is 13 Reasons Why for anime fans, except done better. Silent Voice is fantastic. I adore A Silent Voice.
What's a silent voice?
It's all about basically in middle school, there was a mute girl that went to school, and she was bullied mercilessly for it over time. And the boy that was kind of like the linchpin of all the bullying basically was leading the group until the point where she had to leave the school. And what ended up happening was everyone started to turn on him in turn, and he ended up becoming kind of a social outcast and kind of started living a terrible life. In high school, he just kind of got curious about sign language. He started basically kind of like rebuilding his life, his social status.
And they fall in love.
Maybe they never confirmed the relationship at the end of the story. It's actually just much more focusing on the friendships that like he and she both begin to slowly rebuild after this bullying kind of stunts their early part of their life. It's a really beautiful little tale. The movie is really good. It's a fairly faithful adaptation, though the manga goes on a little bit longer story wise, and it's I think a little bit stronger.
Pepper DMs me. Silent Voice is also trauma porn. Violet Evergarden is also
who DM'd
a great
you that?
anime to watch. I won't tell you. I won't say it again. I think bullying porn is a very specific genre in anime, where it's just like, look at how sad this person's life is. Oh my gosh, it's so sad, guys. It's so freaking sad. Oh my gosh, it's so sad. But it's okay because romance.
Because friendship. It's not just her.
Because friendship.
It's not just her. And considering Japan has such a high suicide rate, like
Japan's suicide rate is obfuscated by the fact that they cover up a lot of murders as suicides.
I've never heard that before.
Well, you also have an idealized version of Japan in your head from watching too much anime.
No, I don't. Because their conviction rate is terrifying. Like, I like visiting Japan. I don't ever want to live there, for example, but I know a lot of weebs are like, oh, it's so perfect, everything be quiet. No, I don't ever want to live in Japan.
If Japan's suicide rate is so high, why would they have so much anime about trauma and oh my gosh, it's so sad, please cry, please?
Coping mechanism? I don't know.
Feels kind of tasteless to me. It's just me. It's like a kind of a tasteless thing. I don't know. It's just the idea of like, oh, it's so tragic. Oh my gosh, don't you feel so bad for him or her? He's just a little baby being traumatized always, constantly. And there's no like point to it. The whole point of the story is just about these sad things happening, and they'll try to obfuscate it with like, oh, it's about friendship or something, but the real reason why people watch it is because they enjoy watching the bad things happen to the character. I don't know why, but they just like
Are
it's
you
like a
confusing
secondhand.
things with like what was it? Freaking redo of Healer.
No, Redo of Healer is just smut that went mainstream. There's something about
Yeah, I was gonna say like I've never heard the murder thing. But I could believe it. I could definitely believe it with how the justice system
Redo
works.
of Healer is important for very very sad men, sad as sympathetic. Trauma porn, like used in the way I'm using it, is like people who just want to see middle school or high school age girls specifically be tormented and tortured. And then I don't know, maybe it's that feeling of like I want to be their hero, or it's like I want to see love rescue them because love rescues them, or something like that. But it feels like very very surface level. If that makes sense.
Well, the book.
Mm-hmm. Japan sucks, but it has arcades and good beat. I do like their rhythm games. Listen, as someone who loves to hate on edgy anime girl shows, they are usually shows that's looking at young, cute anime girls go through trauma. I could list a few.
So, as someone who is a strong bias against it already, that doesn't help your argument?
I was reading Pepper's comments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, as someone who loves to hate on edgy anime girl shows. Okay, so you're already biased against it. That doesn't... You're not leading yourself to an objective viewpoint there.
So there is no objective viewpoint. It's a TV show.
Yeah, we're really kind of straying from the book. Because like I'm tempted to start like debating you on like nuances of stories that you're not even bothering to watch or read. But
well, why would I want to? It's like when I was told over and over, you gotta watch Made in Abyss. It's so cool and it's so pretty, and then I had to watch children being tortured brutally, and I don't want to watch any more of it because why would I?
That's fair.
So why would I sit down and watch Wonder Egg and just watch young anime girls go through trauma?
Because it's I mean, you don't have to. I'm just saying, like, but you're prejudging it also basis on information you're getting secondhand. Like, fair people to criticize me for that. Fair people to criticize that for that. I mean, like, regardless, we're just going to get into a back and forth that's going to go nowhere. So let's just carry on with this.
Okay, where were we?
Trivia jumped up, I think.
Trivia jumped up. She pointed to herself, then the door. You want to get the tea? All right, just one sugar for me. Trivia rushed out of the room. Neapolitan was waiting for her in the hall. She tossed up her hands. Finally. Trivia held up a hand and moved her fingers and thumbs like a puppet's mouth. Some people don't know when to shut up. She hurried toward the kitchen together. Trivia filled a kettle with water and placed it on the stove. While it heated up, she pulled a bottle of sleeping pills Dr. Mazarin had prescribed for her nerves and used a spoon to crush 4 of them. She swept powder into a teacup. Just as the kettle... Is she gonna drug this teacher?
Possibly. We are watching a crime in progress, I think. Which, hey, you know what? Criminal! I'm good with this.
She dumped a bunch of tea leaves into the pot and swished it around impatiently. Neapolitan leaned her head on her arm on the counter and drummed her fingers. Finally, it was ready. She piled the cups onto a tray, poured the tea, and added a sugar cube to Aurelia's. She stirred the sugar and the ground-up sleeping pills until they dissolved and added a splash of cream to her own cup, so there wouldn't be any chance of mixing them up. Back in her room, she clinked glasses with Aurelia and watched her drink. It's a little more bitter than usual, isn't it? New blend from Mistral, Trivia texted. Very expensive. Of course it is. Well, back to work. The sleeping pills worked quickly. Trivia only had to endure another 3 paragraphs before Aurelia nodded off for real. I am gonna pull this up again. Hold on. Neapolitan entered the room from the hall. Trivia flashed her a thumbs up. She dragged Aurelia over to her bed and tucked her in under the blanket so her head was covered. Trivia pulled a printout from the desk drawer and left it on the table. Then she grabbed the woman's purse and stepped into the hall. She heard footsteps approaching and thought quickly. Her father was heading right toward her room.
Leaving already? How did the lesson go today?
He asked. Trivia extended a flat hand and tilted it back and forth. So-so. She tried not to stare at her hand. Its skin was more brown than hers. Wait. Tried not to stare at her hand? Its skin was more brown than whose?
Oh, she's dressed up as Aurelia right now. She's an illusion of the teacher.
Oh. And she liked the way Aurelia's silver ring caught the light. She'd been practicing with her semblance, but it was still disorienting to be in another person's body, wearing their face and their clothes. He grunted. Trivia lacks motivation,
but I know she's a smart girl. Maybe too smart for her own good. You let me know if she becomes a problem.
Trivia nodded. She put a finger to her lips and pushed her head down to her chest.
Lower my voice, he said more. Lower my voice, he said.
Trivia tipped her head towards the bedroom door. She pressed her hands together and brought them up to rest her head on them like a pillow.
Oh, she's sleeping. Why didn't you say so? He said in a lower voice. She does stay up until all hours. I'll see you out.
Trivia smiled and walked alongside him silently. He opened the door for her.
All the talkative today. I know how it is when you have to do all the talking for both of you, but it seems like Trivia is rubbing off more on you than the opposite. See you on Thursday.
Trivia walked calmly towards Aurelia's car in the driveway. Neapolitan was waiting for her in the passenger seat. She clapped and grinned as Aurelia took a seat. I love how natural and not clunky that sounded. We aren't out of here yet. Trivia looked at herself in the rearview mirror. Aurelia's green eyes looked back at her. She hadn't realized before how sad the woman looked, how tired she was. She had some idea why. The research she had done on her teacher had turned up a story Aurelia would probably much rather forget. A student of hers died on a training mission at Patch Combat School, lost in a scuffle with Ursacrim. The twist is that it was actually Yang. Yang's been dead all along.
Yang has actually just been Neo. Neo has been fighting herself this whole time.
The school didn't hold her responsible. She had managed to protect 15 other students, and it was all part of the risk. But there was plenty of blame to go around. The child's parents vowed to have her pay for the death of the girl, and Aurelia's official statement was, I blame myself, she should be with us. She was always so capable. Perhaps I put too much faith in her. Take care of herself while I got the others to safety. The girl had been the same age as Trivia, only 15. Aurelia had resigned soon after. But she hadn't done anything wrong in the eyes of the school, so her references had checked out. So Papa and Mama had no reason to suspect she was doing anything other than the perfect tutor for her daughter. Neapolitan snapped her fingers. She pointed ahead of them. Where are we going? Trivia looked down at the drab gray clothes Aurelia flavored. They weren't much more exciting than what Trivia wore, what her parents bought for her. She says that she's 15. What are you like? Oh, my parents bought me these clothes. They're so neglectful. What are you gonna do? Buy them yourself? She wished she could dress more like Neo with her bright pink and white wardrobe. Let's go shopping. Trivia put the key in the ignition and took a moment to familiar herself with the controls. She had never driven a real car before, but she had played plenty of driving and flying simulation games. The engine roared. She put her foot to the gas. The car rolled forward smoothly. She grins. Sometimes imitations were just as good as the real thing. How many more pages do we have?
6, 7, 7.
You take over.
Sure.
Cool.
In a dressing stall at Kaiser's department store, Trivia tried on another blouse, this one sky blue. She caught Neo's reflection in the mirror, gagging from behind her shoulder. Trivia blew her brown bangs away from her eyes and added the shirt to the growing discard pile. The only shirt that met with Neo's approval was a pink pastel baby doll, which is more her style than Trivia's. She flashed her a big thumbs up and then pointed to the white denim overalls on a hanger. Really? Trivia thought. But she tried them on, and she had to admit they were cute. She undid her two long pigtails and shook her shoulder-length hair out. Neo clapped quietly. Trivia tilted her head as she studied her reflection. She thought though she hadn't worn overalls since she was a little girl, wearing her hair down made her look older. She seemed more playful, happier, more like Neapolitan. No wonder her friend was so enthusiastic. She added a pair of black combat boots and a black beaded necklace. She didn't look anything like herself. It was perfect. She felt a sense of loss when she activated her semblance to project an illusion of the clothes she had worn into the store over her new fun outfit. The fake clothes felt more constricting than the physical ones, and she kicked under the bench, which she kicked under the bench in the dressing stall. She even found it harder to breathe. Neo put a hand on her shoulder and another over her heart until she calmed down. The real her was the illusion, like it always was. It was just starting to hurt too much to hide it. That's why she had to leave her house today, leave Aurelia behind. If she didn't do something unexpected and different to break up her boring, predictable routine, she was going to lose touch with reality. When she had calmed down, she stepped out of the stall. A young woman in a chic. Sorry, my brain couldn't pronounce that for a minute. Black and red dress, hair pinned up in elegant do, approached and eyed her up and down.
Bayonetta.
Didn't find anything you like? Trivia shook her head. Would you like me to help?
That's a more convincing, old woman voice than I could have done.
Would you like me to help? Maybe if you tell me what you're looking for, I'm sure we can find you something. Trivia's scroll rang up. She pulled it out. Papa was calling her. She held up the phone and raised her eyebrows. Of course, the woman stepped aside and allowed Trivia to pass. Trivia sent the call to voicemail and headed for the exit. When she stepped through the security scanners by the door, an alarm sounded. She tensed, ready to run. But she stopped, turned, and put an expression of puzzled annoyance. Sorry, miss. I'm sure there's something wrong with them. But would you mind just waiting a moment? A brawny security guard stepped up over her. Trivia shrugged. She was disguising the stolen clothes, but she still had the store's tags with them, with the anti-theft devices. Next time, she'd have to remember to remove those. Of course, there was going to be a next time. Then she saw the sales lady come running out of the dressing room at the far end of the shop, holding two empty hangers in one hand, waving Trivia's drab brown skirt in the other, the same one that Trivia appeared to still be wearing. Stop her! The woman shouted. Trivia's heart started racing as she knew she had dropped the illusion for just a moment because the guard stepped back and said, What the? He recovered and reached for his holstered gun. Holy shit, that is escalation! So, fun fact, typical training for firearms is not to draw your weapon unless lethal force is present.
Why does a mall security guard have a gun?
Usually it'd be a taser, wouldn't it? If at most, because tasers are less lethal options. They're not non-lethal.
I don't think mall security guards are usually armed at all.
Yeah, I think the worst they might have is maybe pepper spray, which is what you're allowed to carry as a civilian. Oh, even then, because malls typically don't want mall security guards to actually do anything. They're more of they're the people that report things to the police.
Yeah.
Trivia wiggled her fingers goodbye, and somersaulted backwards, kicking her leg up and just grazing the man's chin with a boot-clad foot. She came up facing the other direction and glimpsed Neo holding up a sign, 9.5. Okay,
I cringed.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that.
Cliche.
Kind of hate it. I don't know, but it's the idea of she's telling herself she did a good job. I kind of, with her projection or her mental illness, I don't know. It's like I'm in two minds of that. Like, it is cringe, but I also kind of like there's a little humor there. Some friend you are, she thought, and she hated it. Okay, I don't know. There's been humor in this section that's actually kind of gotten me. Like, not just this section, but this entire, like, the chapter we've read so far. She kicked the doors open and ran. Trivia didn't return home until late. There wasn't much point in going back sooner. Her father's text message made it clear that they had discovered Aurelia and knew she was gone. Neil convinced her she could enjoy herself while she could, because she might not have another chance for a while. By the time she drove up to the mansion, the car was full of things she had stolen from shops all over the city of Vale. 3 pairs of boots, a dozen tops, 7 jackets, 3 skirts, all in bright colors that didn't match anything in her wardrobe. She skipped up to the front door wearing the last outfit she had shoplifted, a white ball gown with pink lace trim and a belt sash. Hooked on her forearm was a closed white and pink paper parasol. She opened the door and paused on the threshold, listening. The house was dark, but it was unsettling because she had expected more commotion. Police waiting to talk with her parents, perhaps. Her parents greeting her with stony faces at the entryway. She figured at the very least they would have waited for her. But the house was quiet. She checked her scroll. The last message from her father had been more than 2 hours ago. Just 2 words. We're worried. Trivia walked through the house tentatively. She finally heard her father's voice coming from his study. He was still up.
That's what I want to appreciate. Of course they have guns. Heroes are immune to guns. If you die to a gun, you weren't important anyway, so it's okay.
Oh, that's a good point. Guns are useless in this society. Trivia walked through the house tentatively. She finally heard her father's voice coming from his study. He was up still, working probably. Trivia approached the open door. He was leaning warily over his desk, talking to someone on the screen. Thank you. Consider your debt repaid, Chief. He disconnected the call and leaned back in his chair with a heavy sigh. Eyes closed. Trivia stepped back, but her paper parasol brushed against the doorframe roughly. Papa bolted up in his seat. He spotted her. Oh, it's you. Feeling any better? Trivia stepped into the room and pressed a hand against her forehead. Her mother got a lot of migraines. She claimed they were because of Trivia. Oh, it's... Go back to bed, Caramel. I know you're worried, but right now you need your sleep. I'll deal with her when she comes home. Trivia nodded.
What are you saying?
He thinks that she's his wife because she turned into his wife. She's acting like her mother.
Okay.
Trivia nodded. She smiled in the slightly sad way her mother often did. It was so easy to mimic other people. It wasn't just the face and the clothes. It was all the little mannerisms that they probably didn't even know about. The little tells that betrayed that what they were thinking, even when their mouths said something else. Those were the details that made most people terrible liars. Papa's chair creaked as he stood. Jimmy Vanille came closer and studied the face of the person he thought was his wife. Look exhausted. Trivia tipped her head in acknowledgement. It was that kind of rude thing. Oh no, I'm not liking where this might be heading. This is the kind of rude thing to say to someone, but that was Papa. He said whatever he was thinking. What? It's not rude to It's not rude to say, man, you look tired. Like, Molly, you look exhausted.
I do.
Congratulations! I'm now rude, apparently.
Fuck you.
That was where Trivia got it from, except not so much with the saying part. Probably because you've had such a busy day, Trivia. He snapped his fingers and the door of the study slammed shut behind her. She jumped. No more running, kid. Trivia glared at him. How did you know? You're wondering how I figured it out. If you want to know whether someone is lying to you, it's all in their eyes. Trivia turned to look at herself in the mirror over the credenza. One eye was brown like her mother's, the other was pink. She had been pushing her semblance all day, and she was tired, too tired to maintain her mother's appearance for so long. Besides, I know my wife well enough to know when it's not her, if only because she is uncharacteristically quiet. And I know my daughter. That's enough, Trivia, please, no more charades. She let go of the illusion and put her hands on her hips. Charades? Poor choice of words, but thank you. That's much better. You're never to impersonate your mother or me again. In fact, you are not to use your semblance in this house ever again, preferably at all. He sat down on his desk.
Yeah, that's what ever again means.
Well, in this house, I think, like, preferably at all. Like, ever. Outside of the house. He sat down at his desk and steepled his fingers. What are you wearing? Trivia spun around in her gown and then curtsied. Do you like it? You've been on quite a tear today. I don't know what you were thinking. Drugging your teacher? Really, Trivia? Trivia cupped her hand and mimed taking a swig from a bottle. She does not have a drinking problem. Her tea was laced with sleeping powder. Her only mistake was trusting you. A mistake we've all made at one time or another. Trivia crossed her arms. Right. And there was a little matter of her record. I found the article in your room, which I'm sure you hoped I would. Did you think that would excuse your actions? Do you think I wasn't aware of what happened to that student at Patch? That's why I hired Aurelia. I wanted someone who knows how to handle a child with an untrained semblance. Someone who couldn't be hired anywhere else. It's much easier that way than to buy their silence. Trivia stuck out her tongue. You know what I mean. Regardless, she won't be coming back here. Trivia widened her eyes. Trivia, did you not think that she would leave? Don't act all shocked.
What do you mean? People love getting drugged against their will.
Yeah. Don't act all shocked and innocent. I didn't fire her. She quit. I gave her a generous severance package to avoid any uncomfortable conversations with the law, as well as one of our cars. He shook his head. Though I would have fired her, she may have underestimated her student's abilities, costing her life, but it can be just as bad to underestimate what someone is capable of. And if she ever breathes a word about this family to anyone...
Doesn't he mean she overestimated her student's abilities?
I don't know, maybe? She won't get off so easy. He leaned forward and rested his arms on his desk. Speaking of getting off easy, what was the point of your crime spree all over town? Trivia scratched her head. You don't know? The only reason you aren't in jail right now is because I convinced all those businesses not to press charges. I try to keep our family out of the public eye, but today you threw all that away. I had everyone on alert for you, and I knew exactly where you were and what you stole. Trivia frowned. Could he be telling the truth? Why did you feel the need to take those things? We give you everything you need, everything you ask for. Trivia held up the parasol. We have plenty of umbrellas, Trivia. But I wanted this one, she thought. I wanted something of my own, which didn't come from you. I wanted to see what I could do on my own for once. If you're ever going to speak up for yourself, now is the time, he said. She groaned and reached for her scroll. Don't bother. I don't want to read another one of your excuses. I want to hear my daughter's voice for the first time. Say something. Anything. And all is forgiven. We'll make this right, kid. So...
She's mute.
I assume at this point I'm assuming from his perspective, he knows that it's not a physical disability. It's a mental one. All the same, the fuck, man. The fuck. Like...
I know you're blind, but open your eyes.
You just choose not to see, man. All right. As she looked down at the floor, she twisted the tip of her parasol into the lush green carpeting. All right. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. I've had enough of you for one day. He slumped back in his chair. I've already paid for everything you took, double what it was worth. And you'll be donating all the stolen items to charities. Trivia ground the parasol...
Wow, what a terrible person.
Like, just let her keep it, man. Like, I guess, like... I don't know, I don't like either of these characters, if I'm being honest. Like, Trivia ground the parasol tip deeper into the carpet. Just like that, he had taken away the best day of her life. She had thought she was being cunning and powerful, but Daddy had paid everyone off to look the other way. The things she had claimed for herself were just more stuff her parents had paid for. She drew the parasol back and hurled it at her father. It flew straight and fast like a spear, and the tip struck him in the face, knocking him in his chair backwards. He bellowed as he toppled to the floor. He pulled himself up. He had a cut on his right eyebrow, a couple of inches lower and she would have struck him in the eye. He touched the wound delicately and winced, examining the blood on his fingers, because apparently he doesn't have aura.
Lightning's asking if there's conversion therapy for people with heterochromia, muteness, and this universe.
I'm not gonna talk about that one, anime guy. That's a couple of inches low. She should have felt bad, but she supposed guilty for hurting him, but she didn't feel anything. He gaped at her in shock. Trivia, what has gotten into you? No, she did feel something after all. Satisfaction. She had done something unexpected, uncharacteristic, surprising even herself. And unlike everything she had done today, the act couldn't be erased. She had done something that had made a real impact. She walked slowly towards her father. He held his ground, waiting for a sign of apology. Was she imagining it, or did he seem wary of her? She walked past him.
You just physically injured him.
Walked past him, bent down, and picked up her parasol. She examined it carefully for damage. He reached out towards her, but stopped short of placing a hand on her shoulder. What's wrong with you? What do you want? He whispered. She glared at him. I want you to leave me alone. I want to be far away from here. He clenched his hand into a fist. Get out! Go to your room! She opened the parasol, turned, and strolled towards the door. Twirling it behind her on her shoulder, she jiggled the knob, but it was locked. She snapped her fingers in the way her father had. The door unlatched and opened. Papa growled, not growed. Stupid voice. Neapolitan was outside his office waiting for her, as always. Her friend clapped a hand to her eye and took a pratfall backwards dramatically. She propped back up and mouthed open in soundless laughter. Trivia smiled.
Her father's so terrible that he was hit by her and didn't respond with physical violence or anger.
Trivia smiled. That had been pretty funny. In fact, right now she was in a brighter mood again. Today had been the perfect day. I don't like anyone in the Neo segments. Like, her father almost gets close to being likable, but he's not. Her mother's not likable. She's not likable. Who am I supposed to like in those chapters? Like, it's literally just watching. It's literally just watching a bunch of people who don't want to listen to each other no one trying to communicate. Neo could literally just be I know he doesn't want to read the message, but she should have just typed it anyway. Like, I don't want to be given things. I want I don't know. I guess I would have worded things differently, but I don't like anyone in those segments. This is a frustrating book, folks, but I think we're gonna wrap it there for today. Let this raccoon go off take a nap. Yeah, she's about to pass out. Thank you all so much for joining us. We had a fun time. Just a disclaimer at the end of things, because I forgot to say at the beginning, this is not to replace the original book. Please go out and support the official release. This is a critical take on it as we go through it. We're basically criticizing it on the fly. Falls under fair use, all that bloody blah. Rooster Teeth, don't sue us. Anyway, please remember to donate to the Patreon. $1 or more will get you access to Team Frostbite.
Rooster Teeth do sue us. I'm close to some very powerful lawyers.
I'm close to some very powerful lawyers. This is
Rooster Teeth, try it, bitch.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you all on the flip side.